Hey everybody, Pete Greco at Productive Corporation here. Today we're going to talk about Sophos's new cloud Optix product for giving you visibility into your public cloud and why it's something you should be thinking about. Let's kick it off with some cloud misperceptions. Right? A lot of folks that I've spoken to believe that part of what they're paying for is for AWS or GCP or Azure experts to be helping them secure the cloud. And they are great at answering specific questions, but they're not actually monitoring your environment. They're definitely not monitoring to see if you're leaking data, if you've misconfigured things, or pointing out when you're under attack. Right? It's pretty easy to see everything that's happening. That's kind of true and kind of false. A lot of visibility, a lot of things you can look at, but again, it can be very difficult to see misconfigurations, where things are connected or not connected without really drilling in. Right? And the public cloud can help make you compliant. If you've got an exposed environment, if you've got folks in disparate locations and you want to have them come into a common place, right, you can absolutely make the cloud HIPAA or PCI or SOX compliant, but it's really up to you to do so. Big one that we hear opposed to the cloud is that the cloud is simply not safe. And again, it's a situation where it's really up to the end users to configure it correctly, make sure that they know who's got access, taking advantage of a least privileged access model, this kind of stuff. Also, here's some comments on, we're just using it for testing or fooling around. Still need to have it secure. Otherwise, you can find your cloud being owned and some very expensive bills getting run up under your account by crypto miners is a big example of that. And another one, they're going to let you know if you've got a problem. Not the case at all. So it really is a shared responsibility model, but you're not completely working together with the cloud provider, right? So the things that they're responsible for is uptime, making sure that when you spin up a new server, there's plenty of horsepower to do so, that you can connect those servers together, that you can limit how those servers are connected, that you have serverless resources, that you've got right, an unlimited amount of storage, as much as you can consume, an unlimited amount of RAM, an unlimited amount of compute, that nobody's actually getting in and touching that physical server. They're doing the physical security, right? But everything else falls on you. Application firewall, web application firewall, securing any machines that you've spun up, whether they're workstations or server grade OSs. If they're running an OS, you probably still need endpoint on those things. That's up to you to be able to do. Access controls, who can control it? Identity access management, all that stuff falls onto your shoulders, right? So Gartner says nearly all successful attacks on the cloud were a result of misconfigs, mismanagement, and mistakes. And that can be from vendors, cloud consultants, the admins, and it's fairly complicated to set these things up, especially if you've got a large background with setting up physical networks, even virtualized networks, VLANs. This is a little bit different. Some of the concepts come into play, but you're looking at it in a totally different way, and it can take some time to get used to, for sure. So you need a quick way to be able to get visibility into what you've done and what you're doing. And what some folks have done is assessments on this, but that's not a living and breathing thing. So you do that assessment, you get a snapshot in time. You need something that's going to follow along with you, and that's what Cloud Optix does. So as I was researching different kinds of cloud attacks, there's a lot of stories out there, and you can feel free to look this up on your own and see some of the crazy stuff out there. A big one that I came across is misconfigured S3 buckets in AWS, and some notable hits out there. RNC, Verizon, Booz Allen Hamilton all lost hundreds of millions of records containing customer or voter information, right, and lots of pieces of information, enough for identity theft to occur. That's pretty expensive right there. In all of those cases, the misconfig was done by a consultant, a contractor, or a vendor working on behalf of the organization. So it's something you got to keep an eye on. Right? Crypto mining is a huge opportunity there. And a lot of the hackers here are getting in through weak passwords, weak credentials. Right? There are some examples of where they've actually been able to exploit an application very similar to the way that they would get into an on-prem environment. Right? The downside here, though, is if they're able to take over that cloud account, they're going to be able to spin up tons and tons and tons of servers in a very rapid way with a lot of expensive resources to be able to mine that cryptocurrency, right? And they're not going to share those bitcoins with you, but you're going to be stuck with the bill. That's how your partnership with the hacking community works. They reap the rewards, you pay the cost, right? API keys stolen from on-prem or places where they've accidentally been uploaded, such as GitHub. And I think a lot of times what's going on is folks are trying to share these with developers or to give access for a test dev and don't realize how exposed the area where they're storing them is, or what's going on the other end of the sharing spectrum there, right? Identity access management has to be set up correctly, right? And we kind of covered some of these others already. So you need to see when those things are happening. And if you do everything right out of the gate, you also need to be able to get the visibility to see when things have changed. So nothing is static. As we spin up these environments, get them set up, get them connected, right? They're going to continue to get updated. We're going to spin up additional resources at some point. We're going to spin down resources. We're going to make configuration changes to take away or give access. And we need to keep up to date with what's going on. And again, that's really one of the things that Cloud Optix is going to do for you on an hourly basis. So as you're making changes, making updates, making improvements, giving access, you're going to be able to see anything that's going on. And the nice thing is then you're also going to be able to get some assistance in how to remediate what you've done or where to look to find out how to get things correct. So auditing for misconfiguration is really what Optix is about. It doesn't end there, right? You're going to see a lot of stuff there that tells you what to do. You still got to be patching against known security vulnerabilities, right? Enabling least privilege user permissions, taking advantage of MFA, monitoring and clearing security events as they're happening, and then taking advantage of CASB as well to be able to stay on top of the things outside of your public cloud that are connecting or interfacing with your public cloud, right? And so getting that visibility on how things are connected and what's connected to what, extremely crucial. One of the big things that I read a lot about was folks really locking down groups of servers and then not realizing that they've spun up an internet-facing machine that was trusted with the closed-off network, and now you've got an internal tunnel into the rest of the area. So let's get some visibility on that and try and avoid that. Who needs something like this? And it's really anybody using public cloud. Right now, if you've got one server spun up, maybe this is probably a little bit overkill. But if you've got a nice cloud environment, if you're spanning multiple clouds, so you're taking advantage of AWS and GCP or Azure and GCP or whatever, or all of them, it's great to be able to see all of that stuff under one hood and see what's going on. And whether you've been using cloud for a long time and really have done the training and watched the webinars and work with support to know what you're doing, getting that visibility is a must. If you're brand new to managing a cloud environment, this is an imperative tool for you to really get visibility into what's going on. Anytime you make a change, you're going to be able to see real quick if you've put something out of compliance or have done it correctly. So a great tool to take advantage of, whether you're experienced or new. And if you have compliance, This isn't required by compliance right now, but this is probably something that you'll see as a compliance requirement in the future, is my bet. But it's definitely going to help you hit all of your compliance checkboxes, and you're going to be able to choose what your compliance is, as well as create your own policies that you want to adhere to, so that you can get some quick reports and figure out where you need to pay attention and where you're already set up, and be able to create yourself a little task list of things that you need to do to get working. So constant compliance checks and reporting makes it extremely valuable. A lot of reports right out of the box get you started, but the ability to make your own checks and alerts, really huge. Getting the configuration issue insight, extremely important. Quickly see you've got a disk that's not encrypted. You've got things that are internet facing. You've got things that have been configured incorrectly with SSH. All that stuff is valuable for helping you make sure that you're not going to be able to get compromised. Right? We showed the picture of the cloud topology mapping. Super cool to look at. Super handy to be able to see how things are interfacing both with the internet and with each other. What's really quarantined or segmented, and what's crossing all the borders for access. Right? Visibility across all your clouds in one place. Extremely nice to be able to have a console that really is consolidating multiple clouds into one, right? And then you're going to be able to cover really everything that you're able to do in those public cloud services. So that's including containers and serverless infrastructure, as well as hosts and storage, which are probably maybe among the most common for folks that we're talking to. And then being able to see activity logs and track who's doing what, what's been done, who's making what changes, all of this good stuff. Pretty crucial. So we've got some videos on our YouTube channel, productivecorp.com/content. Check out our website, productivecorp.com. If you want to learn more about this, really see it in action, talk to your productive account exec or email us help@productivecorp.com. Thanks for watching.